All right, let's get right into it. Picture this. You're standing on a peak, over 2,000 meters high in the Himalayas, specifically the Chandrakoot Mountain in the Tehri Garhwal district of Uttarakhand, India. The air is thin, the views are breathtaking, and right at the very top sits a sacred site that completely flips the script on what you might expect from a prominent Hindu temple.
Now here's the mystery that kicks this whole explainer off. Once a year, the lead priest, who is from the Bhat Brahmin community in the nearby village of Pujargao, climbs into the inner sanctum to tie a fresh cloth canopy. But before he does this most sacred annual ritual, he completely blindfolds himself. I mean, think about it. Why? It's this incredibly profound act of devotion, and it's rooted in a secret that goes back centuries.
You see, this boutique mountaintop shrine defies pretty much all our standard expectations. Usually, when you visit a temple, you're going to see a central statue or idol of the deity, right? You go to see them and receive blessings. But here, despite the intense 2,277-meter altitude and the thousands of deeply reverent visitors, there is absolutely no human figure to look upon.
So, let's look at Section 1, the blindfolded temple ritual, and what is actually going on inside that sanctum.
If there isn't a physical statue inside, what exactly are people worshipping? Well, devotion here centers entirely on an intricate geometric carving. It's called a Sri Yantra, and it's masterfully carved right into a flat stone that is shaped exactly like the back of a tortoise. It's kept protected under that cloth canopy we just talked about. But to understand why this symbol is treated with such intense secrecy, we've got to step back in time.
Which brings us to Section 2, the legend of Sati's torso, a truly cosmic tragedy. To figure out the why behind the blindfold, we have to rewind to ancient texts like the Skanda Purana. The lore tells us that Sati's father, King Daksha, threw this massive fire sacrifice, but he intentionally insulted Lord Shiva by not inviting him. Sati just couldn't bear the humiliation of her husband, so she threw herself into the sacrificial fire. Lord Shiva was completely overcome with grief. He carried her burnt body and began the Tandava. This is a dance of pure, universe-threatening cosmic destruction. Honestly, it was about to be the end of everything until Lord Vishnu stepped in. He used his Sudarshana chakra to sever Sati's body into pieces, solely to stop Shiva's devastating mourning. When Lord Vishnu's chakra struck, those scattered pieces of Sati's body fell to the earth below. And wherever a piece landed, it created a sacred site known as a Shakti Peetha. Imagine 51 or 52 of these incredibly revered, ultra-sacred hotspots dotted all across the subcontinent.
And according to the Skanda Purana, the goddess's torso fell precisely on this very mountain. Actually, the name of the temple itself gives the whole thing away. Chandra means moon, and Badan means body. Put them together, and Chandrabadni literally translates to the shrine of the divine torso.
Okay, so we know what fell here. And we know there's a Sri Yantra instead of a statue. But wait, how does that explain the blindfolded priest? Here is the kicker. Looking directly at the divine form of the fallen goddess is strictly forbidden. Because this specific site holds the raw physical manifestation of the goddess's torso, it is considered way too potent and honestly too incredibly sacred to just be stared at. That's exactly why the Bhat Brahmin priest literally has to cover his eyes when he performs the sacred rite of changing the canopy.
Let's move on to Section 3, decoding the Sri Yantra and the idea of pure cosmic geometry.
The mythology is epic, right? But how does it feel for a visitor standing up there today? Instead of a relatable human figure, devotees are finding divinity in pure cosmic energy. The Sri Yantra is this ancient, incredibly complex diagram of interlocking triangles, and it perfectly represents the absolute union of Lord Shiva and Goddess Shakti. It is literally pure geometry standing in for a physical idol.
Now, the old texts also say that when Sati's torso fell, her divine weapons scattered right along with it. And it is wild because if you walk around that temple complex today, you will see huge piles of ancient iron tridents, trishul, and statues just lying around. They serve as very real physical relics of that ancient cosmic event.
That brings us nicely into Section 4, the divine triangle and the sacred geometry of Tehri Garhwal. This part kind of blew my mind. The sacred geometry isn't just carved onto a stone inside the temple. It's practically mapped across the entire district. Chandrabadni is just one single point in this massive real-world divine triangle of Shakti Peethas. Sati's head is said to have fallen at Surkunda Devi, her upper body over at Kundrapuri, and her torso right here. For devotees, completing a pilgrimage that hits all three of these mountain peaks is considered highly auspicious. All right, let's wrap things up with Section 5, Trekking Chandrakoot Mountain, looking at the modern pilgrimage.
Let's bring this myth back down to earth for a second, because getting to a 2,277-meter peak requires some actual logistical planning. If you're going to visit, timing is absolutely everything. Spring and autumn, pristine weather, clear skies and blooming rhododendrons along the trail. But the monsoon season in July and August, you definitely want to avoid that. Heavy rains turn the roads into landslide hazards, and the trail gets dangerously slippery.
And you can't just drive right up to the temple doors. You've got to earn it a little bit. You park down at the Candy Call base, also known as Kund, and from there you embark on a short but very steep 1-kilometer hike up through these beautiful, dense oak and pine forests.
Now, unlike a lot of the really major pilgrimage sites in India, there are no ponies or palanquins to carry you up. It is just you, a steep incline, and your own 2 feet, so definitely wear comfortable shoes. But wow, the payoff is insane. Once you hit the summit, you get this unbelievable 360-degree panoramic view. On a clear day, you can literally see the majestic Kedarnath and Badrinath peaks.
If you happen to time your trip for the annual April fair, the Kandara Devi Mela, the whole vibe of the mountain transforms. That quiet, peaceful summit fills up with thousands of pilgrims. The crisp mountain air just vibrates with devotion, and you'll hear the deep, echoing sounds of traditional Garhwali instruments like the dole, daman, and bankura. It's this brilliant collision of deep spirituality and vibrant culture. It's said that prayers offered here with a pure heart are never ignored, and you can really feel that energy. Whether you're an adventure seeker there for the Himalayan views or a devout pilgrim seeking connection, the mountain strips away the noise of the modern world. It asks for a little physical effort, sure, but it gives back an immense spiritual reward. So, as we conclude this explainer, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. In a modern world where we are utterly obsessed with needing to see things to believe them, what can we learn from a shrine that asks us to find our faith in the unseen? The blindfolded priest of Chandrabadni is a powerful reminder that sometimes true vision isn't about what's right in front of our eyes, but what we can feel with our spirit. Thanks for joining me on this one, and I hope it gives you a totally fresh perspective.